Tonight, I'm Jonathan Martin.
And I'm Jennifer Bellamy. If you are just joining us tonight, we are tracking Hurricane Helene. Right now, we are just hours from the strongest impacts that we expect to hit us here in Metro Atlanta. Let's take you outside right now for a live look in Tampa, Florida, where Helene is close to making landfall along Florida's Gulf Coast.
11 Alive Weather Impact Chief Meteorologist Chris Holcomb and meteorologist Melissa Nord are both tracking the system for you tonight, really second by second.
We really are, and we just got new information in at 11 o'clock. Melissa, looking at this storm, you can see here that landfall is almost there. They're not calling this official landfall yet at 11 o'clock, but this is as close as you can get to landfall without an official landfall because we have that center of circulation really close to the line. We've been talking earlier about this northern eye wall that has moved in over land, but it's not official till that center comes in, and we expect that at any moment.
Any moment, and where that center moving in, that eye wall, the winds are at their most extreme. So that's why they've issued an extreme wind warning. This only happens during landfalls of really significant major hurricanes. They've got one of those there, and that wind path is headed straight up into Georgia afterwards.
We just got that new track in. I'm going to show everybody that in just a moment. Melissa's checking on our local flood advisories and warnings. She'll have more on that in just a bit too. But I want to take you in closer there so you can see there is the coast, the storm moving inland. This is what we have been tracking for days. Before this storm even developed in the northwestern Caribbean, we were anticipating this moment. It is happening now, and now that it's moving into Florida, the next target is going to be Georgia, as this storm is going to keep moving up toward the north. We have tornado warnings in effect into parts of South Georgia, into Southeast Georgia, and into South Carolina. Look at these tornado warnings lining up right there, just north of Savannah on the Georgia and South Carolina line. What happens is the pinwheel effect around this counterclockwise flow takes these bands over land, and that's where we sometimes get some of that rotation, and that's happening now. Also, look how from the south and east, we're seeing this influence here of that moisture all feeding in, and we're all covered up at least with light rain, but we also have pockets of moderate to heavy rain, and that's going to be the case overnight, where you might have a little bit of light rain and then it gets heavy, it gets lighter. But during the overnight hours, we're going to see more of those pockets of persistent heavy rain that will be happening from time to time. Here's the latest that we just got in at 11 o'clock. With that storm, the center of it right there, about to make official landfall really any moment now. But look at these winds, 140 miles an hour. That is a Category 4 hurricane. It was upgraded to a Cat 4 around 6:20, 6:25 tonight with 130 mile an hour winds. Then we watched the winds increase to 140, but this will not make a Category 5. It won't make it up to 156 or above. Here is the track. We just got this new track in, and you can see it barreling through Georgia. Once it gets over Atlanta, this is at 8 o'clock in the morning. It will be a tropical storm. This is showing winds at 65 miles an hour over Atlanta, and even some higher gusts possible here. And a hurricane strength is 74 miles an hour or greater, or above 74 miles an hour. So this is going to be just about 10 degrees lower than hurricane strength once it moves into the Atlanta area. It'll keep weakening as it moves up toward the north there, and then kind of stall out as it just kind of hangs out over areas of Kentucky. So here's what we're watching with those hurricane warnings that are in effect. Of course, we've got a hurricane warning there along the coast where that landfall is taking place. But look how far north these hurricane warnings extend. It's not just North Florida. It goes into South Georgia. It goes into Central Georgia, and it includes counties really just to the south of Atlanta. This is the northern edge of that hurricane warning in Spalding, Pike, Lamar, Upson County, Butts County, and Jasper County. A hurricane warning. They are going to be having winds 75 miles an hour or greater overnight and in the morning on the south side. We'll have 65 mile an hour winds here. Then it goes down to maybe 50, 40 mile an hour winds up in North Georgia as that weakening process continues. We are also watching the threat for severe weather. I showed you those tornado warnings lining up on the Georgia and South Carolina line. We do think that most of the severe weather is going to be east of the track of the center there. So we showed you that track moving up like this through Atlanta. To the east of that, or the right-hand side, that is where we are going to see the more of a threat for severe storms, where there's a level 1 risk pretty much east of Atlanta, level 2 from Augusta southward, level 3 along the coastline where they are experiencing those tornado warnings right now. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through the timeline for just the last few minutes of the evening hours here, overnight and into the morning. We have been seeing this evening and continue to see rain continuing, some of that heavy. The wind isn't really bad out there yet. We're just seeing those breezes start to kick up. We're just kind of transitioning now to those stronger winds that are coming in. We've got winds now gusting up to about 25 miles an hour, but it's not a persistent wind. And then some standing water and flooding. We're seeing more and more reports of flooding coming in. For the overnight hours, this is when it gets more active. We have been on all night long, and we will be on with you for the overnight hours, because these overnight hours, while you are trying to sleep, is going to be the time when things are going to be a little more active out there with heavy rain and flooding. In the areas where there's the tropical storm, including the metro area, we're talking wind gusts of 50 to 70 miles an hour. Those counties on the south side where we have the hurricane warning, 80-mile-an-hour winds. We have that low tornado risk, again, over to the east of us. Then on Friday, mainly in the morning hours, is when it will also be very active. We're talking about heavy rain and flooding early in the morning. In the tropical storm warning, again, those winds 50 to 70, the hurricane warning 80 miles an hour. Then we have some light at the end of the tunnel where we see things ending by lunchtime. The rain's going to be out of here, but we're still going to be dealing with pretty breezy conditions here for those lunchtime hours. Let's head over to Melissa Nord right now. She has been tracking all the flood warnings. You have anything new out there, Melissa?
Yes, we actually have brand new video in of flooding at the North Fork of Peachtree Creek. This is in Buford, not far from North Druid Hills Road, just south of there. And our photojournalist John Samuels was out and captured video of that flooding. Let me know if we can go ahead and show that on the monitor. Here it is. So we're watching the water going over the roadway, and at this flood stage where it is right now, it's not far off the record for that gauge, which was from the September 2009 record floods we had here in North Georgia and Metro Atlanta. So this is flooding of the North Fork of Peachtree Creek, and we're also seeing other river gauges here in Metro Atlanta that are reaching moderate flood stage and minor flood stage. I want to show you kind of what we're looking at moving forward, because the rain tonight could lead to more flooding like you're seeing there. So again, if you come across flooding like that tonight, if you've absolutely got to drive into work, let's say you work at a hospital or something, do not drive on a flooded roadway. Do not drive on a flooded roadway. It only takes a foot of swiftly moving water to sweep your small car away. 2 feet. If you got a big pickup truck, 2 feet is going to sweep the big pickup truck away if that water's moving swiftly enough. Here's we call it a hydrograph. It shows us where the water levels have been. And you see how the line, this blue line, skyrockets up this evening. The latest measurement we had, which was from about 10:15 tonight, was 18.38 feet. The record is only 18.67, so we're basically at the record flood stage there of that particular point of Peachtree Creek. And this is North Druid Hills Road right here. This is 85. This is Buford Highway. It's right in here where that creek passes near Buford Highway. So that is the flooding that's ongoing there. I also want to show you, if my maps will keep up with me, I was finally able to download the current river gauge levels, okay? This is another, it's called Peachtree Creek in Atlanta, that is now in moderate flood stage. Also want to point out here, as we get into, this is near Six Flags, okay? So this is out near Six Flags, near the kind of corner of Cobb County and Douglas County. We're starting to reach a few other moderate flood stages here in the metro area. And Chris, with all the rain continuing to push in, my maps are really struggling here, we're going to have a lot more flooding issues to come. Rainfall amounts so far have been 4 to 6 inches, some spots even over 7 inches. You see that right there near Pike and Lamar counties, and the rain just keeps coming. So we've got a lot more rain to come. Flash flood warning for Atlanta continues until 3:15 overnight tonight. And Chris, as we see the rain continuing, then the winds pick up, and that leads to a bigger power outage risk moving forward, especially as we get closer to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, we've got all the flooding already out there now. The wind is going to be kicking up for the rest of the overnight hours. Take a look at our projections of these wind gusts for the overnight hours. This takes us to 4:30 in the morning, where you see that center of circulation pretty much right over the Eatonton area, and wrapping all around it, we've got those strong winds. 47-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Eatonton at 4:30. 4:30. Look at Athens at 54-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And then once we get to around 6:30 in the morning, 39-mile-an-hour wind gusts here in Atlanta. We'll see some wind gusts that'll be 40-plus miles an hour at times. 54-mile-an-hour wind gusts in Athens at 6:30. There you see some of those 46-mile-an-hour wind gusts. This is at about 7:30 in the morning tomorrow. Also in Marietta, Peachtree City, 37. It's just going to be really, really windy there. And with that saturated ground, we're going to see trees coming down, and that's what's going to cause the power outages. By later in the afternoon on Friday, we will see the rain moving out around lunchtime. The wind speeds start to come down a little bit, but it doesn't totally go away. We will still see breezy conditions. I want everybody to be aware of that, though, because on Friday, when you see the rain end, you're going to want to go out and start cutting up trees that have fallen. You're going to want to be picking up limbs. You're going to want to be outside cleaning things up a little bit. But just know it is still going to be rather gusty, and these winds could be strong enough to bring down additional trees in the saturated ground, as well as tree limbs possibly coming down. So you have to be careful when you get out to clean on Friday. That's why we are holding on to the weather impact alert throughout the entire day on Friday. Things will be getting better for the weekend. We'll talk more about that coming up in just a few minutes.
All right.